Hi, boys and girls. We just finished our unit talking about pets and all of the animals that live in our home, but now I have a different question for you. Do you have any wild animals in your home? We might have some stuffed animals because they're a great way to enjoy wild animals in your home, but do real wild animals really belong inside a house? Well, let's watch and see what happens when a bear decides to visit someone's home. I noticed that the bear that was in the video looked very curious about what was in the house. He kept looking around and I could hear things breaking and falling when he walked by. Maybe he was just too big for the house. And he did keep looking outside of the window. Maybe that's where he really wanted to be. Wild animals live free outside of our homes. That way, they can run and play and be with the other animals that are just like them. As we start talking about wild animals today, let's remember our learning target. I can name wild animals and identify where they live and what they need by drawing, writing, and labeling a picture. Let's begin by talking about where we can find wild animals. Well, wild animals are everywhere. Wild animals are in the forest, the desert, the ocean, the grasslands, and the wetlands. There are lots of wild animals that live in these places, like an elephant, a bird, a bear, a camel, a rabbit, and a frog. Where do you think the bear lives? I think the bear lives in the forest, where there are lots of other wild animals and trees. Some other wild animals are a fish, a snake, a turtle, a bee, a lion, and an alligator. Where do you think these animals live? How do we know these animals are wild animals? We know that wild animals are special types of animals. What makes them special is that they have to get everything they need by themselves. Wild animals need shelter or a place to live. They also need food and water. And they need love and care. Wild animals need shelter just like we do. Animals find shelter to protect them from weather and other animals. Some animals find shelter in things that exist in nature. That means they find places to live that are already there. They didn't have to make it, and no one made it for them. Places like a tree, a cave, or a coral reef. What animal do you think lives in each one of these places? Well, let's watch some fish make a home in the coral reef. Some animals actually do make their own shelter. For example, a bird would make a nest, and a bee will make a hive. Some animals even make holes or burrows to live in. What animal do you think would live in a hole or a burrow? I've seen a snake live in a hole, and I think Bugs Bunny lives in a burrow. But let's watch a video and see how a bird would build its own home. Wild animals need food and water, just like people do. Wild animals do not get their food from people. Wild animals must hunt or gather their own food. The bear has gone fishing. He likes to eat fish. The frog is catching a fly. He likes to eat bugs. What foods do the other animals like to eat? The elephant likes to eat leaves from trees and bushes. The big fish likes to eat the smaller fish. The bird likes to eat berries, and the lion likes to eat meat. And just like the little rabbit, all of the animals have to find their own water in streams and ponds. Now, let's watch a video of a bear catching his fish for dinner. Wild animals also need love and care, just like we do. Wild animals love and take care of each other, especially their young. Here we see a mother camel giving milk to her baby. We also see a mother bird feeding her babies too. Wild animals keep their babies clean, they teach them how to do things like hunt for food, and they keep them safe from danger. Does this remind you of how your parents help you? It's because your parents love you just like these wild animals love their babies too. Now let's watch a lion show how much she loves her cub. Sometimes wild animals do need help from people. People like marine biologists, vets, and zookeepers help wild animals that might be sick or hurt. They make sure that the animals have what they need. They make sure they have shelter, food and water, and lots of love. Now we're going to read a story called Where Animals Live. This book is a level D book, so I'm going to read it and you can follow along. You can always go back later and read it yourself at a different time. Where Animals Live. Animals live in many different places. Some live above the ground, some live in the ground, some live on the ground, some live in the water. This bird lives in the trees. The monkey lives in the trees too. This frog lives in a pond. The turtle lives in a pond too. This prairie dog lives in a burrow. The woodchuck lives in a burrow too. These bats live in a cave. This bear lives in a cave too. This deer lives in the woods. The fox lives in the woods too. This octopus lives in the ocean. The whale lives in the ocean too. Mandy and Michael live in a house. People are animals too. Now let's think about the story. Where did the animals live? Well, I remember that some of the animals lived in the ground, some lived in the water, and some lived in the trees. What did the animals use for shelter? I remember some animals used a cave for shelter, and some made a burrow. How do you think the wild animals and people are alike? Well, one thing that makes us alike is that we all need a place to live. Okay, so now it's your turn. I want you to pick a wild animal from the story or one from the slides that interest you the most. First, draw a picture of the animal and where it lives. Next, label the picture using words that you learned today. Then, write about where it lives and what it might eat. You can use my sentence frames to help you with your work. You'll get extra dojo points if you make one extra sentence on your own. Then you can post the picture and the sentences to your portfolio. I'll give you some extra dojo points if you post a video of yourself reading your sentences. I can't wait to see your work, and I will talk to you later. Bye.